A deep dive into the Fallout 3 iceberg? Let's go. Mr. Gutsy quotes Apocalypse Now. Mr. Gutsy is the combat variant of the civilian Mr. Handy, developed by General Atomics International and commissioned by the US Army, and it was made shortly before the bombs fell in 2077, with some of the first units seeing service in the liberation of Anchorage, Alaska. The thing that really made Mr. Gutsy's stand out from other combat robots is its sheer maneuverability and its spatial awareness. The Mr. Gutsys were upgraded with dedicated military software that allowed them to refuse orders issued by commanders who are either incompetent or under court-martial. However, there were some minor setbacks. Due to the rush in the development, General Atomics did cut a couple corners and resulted in some noticeable downsides. The biggest one would be in the absence of orders, units just defaulted to patrol mode and would attack any unauthorized personnel with extreme violence. But because it's the Fallout universe, no one seemed to really care and everyone just accepted the fact. Now, one of the quotes that the Mr. Gutsy does have would be this one.
There's nothing I like better than the smell of plasma in the morning.
And of course, this is a reference to the movie Apocalypse Now, which was a 1979 Vietnam War movie, which you definitely need to check out if you haven't already. A really solid Vietnam War movie. But in that movie, the same line is said, except there is just a minor difference.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Before we continue, I have to shout out my beloved Patreons. Patreons get videos early and access to a special Discord where they can berate me whenever they want. We got Brian Hahn, Person, Fat Lucky Potato, Icy Storm, B-Rad the Man, Giovanni Diaz, Mayall, G-Die Smackdown, Forg, Ty Mulan, and Henry Heiberg. If you want to be a Patreon supporter, link is right down there below in the description. Back to the video. Bob Anderstein radio message. Activating the relay tower KX-B811, you can come across this transmission.
If anyone can hear this, this is Bob Anderstein. My family and I have taken refuge in a drainage chamber not too far from a radio relay tower outside of DC. My boy is very sick and needs medical assistance. Please help if you can. We are listening for your response on 3950 kilohertz.
Now, Anderstein and his family took refuge in this drainage chamber outside of Washington, D.C., and during the time of the transmission, his son was sick and dying, so he tried to call out to anyone for a doctor while him and his family hid out in the nearby sewer. However, unfortunately, no one would end up coming, and heading to that sewer, you can find the skeletons of Bob and his wife. But the question is, where was his sick son? Sniper's Shack. The Sniper Shack, or the Abandoned Shack as it's known in game, is going to be just west on a cliff of Rockbreaker's Last Gas. And upon entering said shack, you will find some pretty peculiar things, like number one, this teddy bear just getting absolutely hammered, or a couple of unique rad roaches that are actually named, called Jitters and Fluffy. But the main reason why you're probably coming here is for the unique sniper rifle, which is going to be in a locked, very hard locker. Or you can always just use dog meat to get it without having to unlock it. But do be careful, because upon exiting the Sniper Shack, this is a spawn point for the Talon Company or the Regulators, so you might be in for a fight. Germantown Police HQ Terminals. Prior to the bombs falling, this was actually a police headquarters, but many years after the bombs have dropped, it is now under super mutant control in the year of 2277. And is used as a base of operations in which they can raid local towns. But upon entering the HQ, you can find tons of terminals. But the more interesting ones are the set of 911 calls just prior to the bombs dropping. In one of these calls, someone is calling that their house is on fire, in which they get transferred to the fire department. Another one has a man who is obviously off his meds stating that the wings on my shoes have shrunk and now the moths won't eat my kidneys. When I shake my state capital, it only yields 3 fairy napkins, but how? My banana slippers are like water boats because when the moon winks sometimes, it burns my hamster punches. And that's how you get to llama school, in which the call was terminated and officers were dispatched. And the last one definitely has to be the creepiest. It starts with a woman calling in. Please help. I think there's someone outside. I heard a noise and it looks like someone is out there. Remain calm. I'm sending a squad car over. May I please have your name and address for my confirmation? Then you hear the sound of glass breaking. I think he's in the house now. Please send help. Oh my god, I think I hear him. Ma'am, I've dispatched a squad car. It should arrive within minutes. Try, and then the call gets interrupted. The sound of a scuffle can't be heard. Sorry for the scare. My wife just, and then you hear muffled screams in the background. Forgot to take her pills this morning. Everything is okay. A long, silent pause can be heard. No need for the squad car either. Have a nice day, and the call hangs up. The Keller family. The Keller family are a part of an unmarked quest in Fallout 3 called Keller Family Refuge, in which you are tasked with collecting 5 holotapes around the Capital Wasteland. And these holotapes give us a little bit of information about this pre-war family having to deal with the bombs dropping. They originally had tried to make it into Vault, but realized that that was a futile effort. And thanks to Alex, who was a part of the US Army National Guardsman, who was able to steal some access codes to a bunker and then sent each family member a single digit, forcing them to all be together to survive the bombs. And finding each of these holotapes, you can piece together the events that led to this family's demise.
Tina, it's me. Your brother, Alex? Listen, Mom would kill me if she knew I was contacting you, but she's being an impossible bitch right now. You have to come home. Do you understand me? This thing with China, it's not going away. We're gonna try and get into one of those vaults. If that doesn't work, well, I have a backup plan. There's this secure bunker, another sort of vault, inside the National Guard depot, and look, no matter what it takes, the whole damn Keller family's gonna ride this storm out, but you've got to get your ass home, now.
Paul, it's me, Tina. I heard back from my sister Candace. We couldn't get into a vault. 101, 87, didn't matter. All full to capacity. But my brother Alex is a soldier, and he sort of stole the passcode for a secure army bunker. He did it for the family, but they caught him. Before they took him into custody, Alex, he sent us each one number of the 4-digit code. That way we all have to be together to get in. He gave me number 5, the day of my birth. So I guess what I'm saying is, I'm still leaving. It's been fun. Kind of. Oh, and I'm not pregnant, so no worries.
Mom, it's Candace. Oh my God, it's really happening. I can see the cloud. It's so big. Mom, I'm so scared. I'm heading to the vault now. I'll do whatever I can to get inside. My number of the passcode was 7, right?
Ralphie, son, this is your father. We can't get into the goddamn vault without you. Get your ass over here now. My 4 is useless without you, boy.
Candace, it's Ralph. Tell Dad there's no way in hell I'm spending nuclear Armageddon trapped with him in a fucking closet. You can have my number. It's 6. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a mushroom cloud to walk into. Have a happy Holocaust.
And upon getting to this bunker, you will find 3 dead bodies and a glowing one, which can indicate that one of the family had turned and killed the others. LOB Enterprises. Prior to the war, the LOB Enterprises was a pre-war weapons manufacturer that had some secret involvement with the People's Republic of China prior to the war. If you've ever used the V18 Chinese pistol, well, that was thanks to the LOB Enterprises. But as they continued to work with the People's Republic of China, rumors would start to arise, and they would soon be under federal scrutiny, due to importing Chinese products from the Happy Liberty Imports, which was a Chinese front. And due to what seemed to be the end for them, employees were required to carry low-grade military weapons at all time, and receive training in the event of a federal invasion and/or nuclear exchange. And the worst part about this would be that, in the event that the feds do come a knockin', cafeteria privileges will be suspended in the event of hostile takeover. That's just a shame. And it also seemed like they had a little bit of a sexual harassment problem. From human resources to a man named Samuel Johnson, it seemed like he had a problem with inappropriately hitting on women. Like using the phrase, "Hey doll, want to see if this is a grenade in my pocket or if I'm just happy to see you?" So not only are they working with the Chinese, but they have a serious sexual harassment problem. And just hours prior to the Great War, their headquarters was attacked by federal agents. And after the Great War and many of years, the only things left surviving are the assault robots that are still programmed to this day to keep the building secure. Hubris Comics. Hubris Comics in Fallout 3 is pretty interesting because there's a lot going on here. In the year of 2277, Hubris Comics is now home to a wastelander named Mad Johnny West, who will be holed up in the fortified foreman's office overlooking the printing area and shooting at anything that happens to wander in. He's armed with a minigun and has a very high health on par with like a super mutant. And to top it off, he has automated turrets and a number of frag mines and traps littered throughout. But to make your life a little bit easier, you can turn on the printing press and smoke will start to arise from it. And the smoke that arises from it obscures not only Mad Johnny's vision, but also the turrets, making your life a little bit easier. Now, not only do we have Mad Johnny, there's also a mini-text adventure called Reign of Grellock. Now, there is no reward for completing it, but it's still a nice little text-based adventure that you can play. Now, Hubris Comics, of course, also has some relation to Vault-Tec. In this press release, we get Hubris Comics and Vault-Tec Incorporated unveil Vault Boy meets Hell's Chain Gang, limited 5-part miniseries. The very best in invincible entertainment and impenetrable vaults team up to bring comic fans a gripping grimoire of greatness. From their headquarters in Washington, D.C., Hubris Comics announced today plans to bring a beloved American icon into the Hubris Comics universe, none other than the beloved Vault Boy character. Vault Boy was the perfect choice for our new Hell's Chain Gang series, said Hubris Comics Chief of Publishing, Peter Shiner, in which those brilliant vigilantes take on Chairman Chang's commie cyborg corpse. Try saying that 5 times fast. After all, Vault Boy knows a thing or two about going up against the Red Menace. The 5-part miniseries will feature an alternate future in which Chinese communists have invaded America. Vault Boy and the Hell's Chain Gang are the last best hope for America to break free from the shackles of communism and this cautionary tale of vigilance. It has always been Vault-Tec's mission to educate and protect our countrymen from communist threat, commented Vault-Tec Public Relations Executive Joanne Strasser. This exciting project is a perfect opportunity to thrill young Americans while sending home an important message for us all. Every good American must help shoulder the burden of freedom and always be wary of the communist threat. The first issue of this miniseries will be available on newsstands everywhere this holiday season. About Hubris Comics. Hubris Comics, a branch of Hubris Comics, headquarters in Washington, D.C., has been producing printed entertainment since 2021. Hubris Comics are known for such popular properties as Grognak the Barbarian, Hell's Chain Gang, and The Inspector. So of course, Vault-Tec seems to have their finger in just every single pie in the world. Now, the last interesting thing to come from this area would be the start of the Antagonizer. In one of the terminals, we get one of our first hints to the Antagonizer. But for my money, no tale is more tragic and more fascinating than that of the Antagonizer. While never developed as fully as major villains like Skullpocalypse or Mastodonald, the portrait of an orphan girl raised by ants and instilled with a bitter hatred of humanity has tremendous potential for reader connection and possible redemption. However, in Grognak and the Ants of Agony, Mr. Neptura threw away all of that potential by simply treating the Antagonizer as a 2-dimensional villain with a futile and pointless grudge against mankind. His writing replaced her subtle undertones of lost humanity and tragically lost innocence with the worst sort of mustache-twirling cliched dialogue. It was an offense to the deep and tragic character. Now, what's interesting is you can actually find a character called the Antagonizer in Fallout 3. The Antagonizer is actually called Tanya, and having read comics about these supervillains and after the passing of her parents due to a giant ant attack, this gave her the idea of taking up the guise as Antagonizer.
Excellent! It shall make a fine memento of a nemesis bested. A trophy of a foe antagonized.
You mean apart from having cheesy names? Actually, I think I might know something useful. One of the traders told me she sounded like a girl he used to know. Girl's whole family was wiped out by ants, not long before she showed up here. But they never found any trace of her body. Said her name was Tanya Kristoff. That might just be our little antagonizer.
With the power to control giant ants, she continues to harass Canterbury Commons because she thinks the town is a blight on the wasteland. So Hubris Comics actually has a lot of interesting backstory and kind of connections throughout all of Fallout 3. Point Lookout bank robbery. Now, this could be talking about the whole Chinese spy part, but I think this is talking about the lesser-known bank robbery. On October 23rd of 2077, a pair of baddies entered the bank and shot everyone inside. They eventually made off with all the money that they could possibly hold, hiding in relative plain sight. Upon getting to the Homestead Motel in room 1G, they ended up getting into a disagreement of the money, and upon not being able to reach a conclusion, they each shot each other. And that's where their bodies would lay for hundreds of years. Now, it is kind of a sad story, but when you look at the bigger picture, the Great War wiping out civilization kind of made all of that pointless. Since there is no sponsor for today's video, make sure to check out GamerSupps. Link is down there below in the description, and use code CRAZY to get that money off. They have plenty of awesome merch, cups, and tubs that you're definitely going to love, so make sure to check them out. Link down there below in the description. Again, code CRAZY. That's it. The Plunger Room. One of the more weirder locations in the Capital Wasteland is going to be known as the Shelter. It is an unmarked location just south of the Chrysalis building. And inside of it you can find a couple different things. You can find the head of a statue, an American flag. You can find what looks to be a makeshift tower with a bunch of random objects. You will find a feral ghoul, a damaged garden gnome, and one mini nuke. But the reason it's called the Plunger Room is because there are 49 plungers in the room for no reason. Someone just had a real hard-on for plungers. Now, this room was originally going to be a location that you would come across during the main quest in Fallout 3, but they ended up deciding that this was just too silly of a place for everyone to come across and everyone to see, so they decided to make it a little bit more obscure, and thus you have the unmarked location, the Plunger Room. Hilltop Farm Ruins. This is yet another unmarked location in Fallout 3. Upon coming across this area, you can find a destroyed house that does have a terminal in it. And through this terminal and the various entries from Doc Johansson, Edgar, Jim, Rochelle, Tyrone, and Tyler, and with also mentions of 4 other residents, Miguel, Miles, Jackie, and Vu, you can piece together a little bit of a story. Shortly after the Great War, these wastelanders emerged from underground and started a small farming colony. They were able to set up an irrigation system for their crops and actually started to raise some livestock. But eventually, their scout Miguel ended up spotting some travelers in the valley below, and even though the residents tried to stay hidden, it does not seem like they met a very happy ending. Now, we do not know the exact fate of everybody that lived here, but one skeleton can be found next to the terminal, and occasionally a dead raider can also be found nearby. So if I had to take a guess, it would seem that Miguel was actually spotting a group of raiders, and the raiders ended up attacking this little colony and killing at least one person and either chasing off or enslaving the rest. Tacoma Industrial Park. The Tacoma Industrial Park is one of the more deadlier places to visit, it currently being a super mutant stronghold and constantly having Talon Company mercs appearing to fight them. It is not an easy place to survive in. But I think the reason that this would be on this iceberg is because of the artillery. On the corpse of a dead mercenary, you can find this artillery note. Talon Company Support Team Bravo, location Tacoma Park. Establishing position near the parking lot west of the factory and monitoring enemy movement. 3 squads will be dispatched once you are in position. Their objective is to retake our old positions in Tacoma Park. Your direction is to provide artillery support when they arrive. The coordinates have been encoded on the switch provided. Call in the strikes once Alpha Squad establishes a base of fire outside of the blast range. And the cool thing is, you can actually find the artillery switch, and you can launch about 5 to 6 strikes. After that, the switch will, of course, naturally break, and then you will be prompted to attempt to fix it. And if you are able to successfully fix it, it will never break again, and you can just launch bombs for days. Brady's Package. This is an unmarked quest that can be started by finding the dead body of Grady and listening to his holotape.
If you're listening to this tape, then my brains are splattered all over a wall somewhere, and you've got a job to do. You need to retrieve the package and get it safely to Ronald Lauren and Girdershade. Tell him Grady sent you. To get the package, you'll need the key. I've stashed it inside an old fire hose case in some maintenance closet in Marigold Metro Station. The key will unlock the safe that contains the package. Look for the room marked by a spinning light. You can't miss it. Good luck. And hopefully, they won't find you too.
After that, you are sent on a quest to find this secret treasure. The first thing you're going to want to find is Grady's safe key, which is actually going to be located in a fire hose box, which is not too far away from Grady's skeleton. And after you have the key, you want to continue heading down these numerous passageways until you come across this locked door that you can get inside, and voila, there will be a safe. Opening said safe, you can find the naughty nightwear. And upon getting said naughty nightwear, a man named Lugnut will approach you.
I'm only gonna ask you this one time. Give me the naughty nightwear. I warned you I was only going to ask once. Now I'm gonna take it from you. All right. My mistake. It obviously belongs to you. Now, you just watch it, 'cause I won't be so nice next time. Yeah, that's what I thought. Now scram. Later. That was probably the dumbest thing you could have said. Fine, have it your way.
Now say you do not give it to him, you can actually return it to Ronald Laren in the Girder Shade, who will reward you with a couple hundred caps.
Grady? Maybe. Why are you asking? Holy crap! You have it? Well, hand it over. I've been waiting over a year for that damn thing. No way, that's more than I was gonna pay Grady. Forget it. All I'm offering is 200 caps. That's it. Take it or leave it. Hey, thanks a bunch for bringing it to me. You could have been a jerk and sold it to someone else, but you didn't. Ah, hell, let me give you the rest of the caps. I was gonna give Grady anyway.
Capital Wasteland Raiders are from Vault 106. Vault 106 was one of the many vaults constructed by Vault-Tec that was not exactly people-friendly. The vault was made to inhabit 107 people, with 95 test subjects and 12 researchers, with the vault intended to be sealed for 12 years and 3 months. And after 10 days of the vault being sealed, psychoactive drugs would be put into the circulation system unknowingly on the vault inhabitants. While many succumbed to a relaxed hallucinogenic state, others began to behave extremely aggressive. With security unable to contain the situation, the vault would essentially perish under the pressure of these drug-addicted victims. And for centuries onwards, any unlucky traveler that happened to enter the vault would also succumb to the effects of the drugs, wandering the vault convinced that they are the original dwellers. Now, there is a theory out there that states that some of the original inhabitants were actually the earliest raiders and would actually go on to make the raiders that we know of in the Capital Wasteland. Or there's also another theory that states that the raiders were just unlucky travelers that happened to enter the vault and succumb to the drugs. Now, there really isn't any concrete evidence for either, but it still makes for a fascinating theory that I definitely think we should look more into. Callahan's Magnum. Callahan's Magnum was a weapon that was introduced with the Broken Steel add-on for Fallout 3. It is a unique scoped .44 Magnum that was previously owned by a Pentagon military policeman, Harold Callahan, and it is actually the most powerful small guns handgun in the game. To get said weapon, it can be found in the Citadel, and during the quest Who Dares Wins, while on board the Enclave mobile base crawler, you can choose to destroy the Citadel. And in the rubble, you can find a safe that you can lockpick and open up to retrieve this weapon. Now, this weapon is actually a reference to Harry Callahan from the movie Dirty Harry, who carries a Smith & Wesson Model 29 .44 Magnum as his signature weapon throughout the film.
But Ian, this is a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off. You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Isabella Proud Camp. Isabella Proud is a dead scientist that you can find in the Tacoma Park in Fallout 3, along with her research assistant, Jason. These two were conducting research into feral ghouls and what exactly makes them tick. She would go on to perform a number of experiments, one of these which included filling heavy basins with water and irradiating them to varying degrees, and eventually learning that the ghouls preferred the ones that were heavily irradiated. And only a couple of days later, she would come across a ghoul that she would name Melinda. And the ghoul would actually come right up to Isabella, and due to her radiation suit being covered in radiation, the ghoul really didn't seem to mind. And this would only further pique Isabella's curiosity. Wanting to get closer to the ghouls and learn more about them, she decided that she was tired of just observing from the side and wanted to get up close and personal, which Jason strongly suggested to not do. One night, a pack of ghouls with what seemed to be an alpha male, which was a glowing one, led a pack to the water basin, and Isabella and Jason in their suits decided to get up close and personal to them, which they would very soon regret and ended up dying immediately after. Sam Warwick and Laszlo Redford. Sam Warwick is a raider that you can come across in the Capital Wasteland, and he is also used in the quest Lawbringer, in which you can kill him and bring his finger to the regulators to collect a bounty. And according to the Fallout 3 official game guide, he is a friendly rival of Laszlo Redford, who is seen roaming the waste in search of more copies of his favorite comic, Grognak the Barbarian. He recently has stolen a railway rifle and has immense pleasure in headshotting ghouls from a distance. Now, Radford will only appear as a random encounter after you have collected at least one railway rifle schematic. He will always be hostile and attack on sight, and he's also BFF with Sam Warwick. Jig's Loot. Jig's Loot is another unmarked quest in Fallout 3 that has you heading to the Museum of Technology. And inside the Museum of Technology, after reading the Museum Information Terminal, you will get this transcript. Hey there, Jigs. I finally found a good place to ditch your share of the loot. It was hell getting here, but I made it. I left the usual breadcrumbs all over some of the info terminals in this place. Their computer security was a joke. Complete the sequence and you're home free. But make any mistakes and the system will lock you out. We'll meet up at the usual spot later. Good luck, Prime. And using Prime's name, you can actually figure out how to solve this puzzle. All you have to do is unlock 3 terminals that are all prime numbers. The first one is located on the ground floor. The second one is located in the museum's west wing. And the last one is on the ground floor by the Delta rocket. And after successfully unlocking all 3 terminals, you will get the password to the security office terminal, which will allow you to unlock the safe. And also, after unlocking the last terminal, you will get another note. Earned your share. Nice job, Jigs. I knew you'd remember the good old days. The loot is in the security office safe in the upper part of the west wing. Use the terminal up there to get in. Enjoy your share, pal. You earned it. Meet me in the old diner outside the Jury Street metro station. See you there. Good luck, Prime. And upon going to said location, you can actually find Prime's dead body. But on his dead body is going to be 500 caps, explosives, ammunition, and the unique weapon, the Xiao Long Assault Rifle. So if you want a unique weapon, then this little unmarked quest is definitely something you want to make sure you don't skip. Dunwich Sketch. This is a piece of cut content that would have been a note that you could have acquired that would have been a bloody sketch of the obelisk found in the Dunwich building. I don't really think there was much else to this other than it just being a bloody sketch, but it still adds on to the creepiness factor, and it's a shame that it got cut. Outcast Mr. Gutsy. This is yet another piece of cut content, but it appears there would have been an outcast version of the Mr. Gutsy. It would have had its own unique skin and everything, but unfortunately, like a lot of cool stuff, it ended up being cut. Pink power armor. Yet again, some more cut content. There is a cut pink power armor in the game. Well, not necessarily. The pink power armor in the game doesn't exist. Whether cut, unused, or anything like that, it just isn't a thing. But the texture does exist in the game and can be applied to the T-45 power armor. And doing so, you get this beautiful and adorable pink power armor with a little heart on the chest plate and everything. It's adorable, I love it. And digging around, I really couldn't find what this was going to be used for. Maybe it was going to be related to a character in the game, or maybe some cut character that they were thinking of along the way. That I have no idea, but that still shouldn't distract you from the fact that this pink power armor does exist. Sniper Rifle Rock. I believe this is talking about the hollowed out rock just outside of Megaton that actually contains a lot of goodies. This is very easy to miss unless you kind of know about it. But like I said, just outside of Megaton, you can come up to this hollowed rock, and inside of it you will find a sniper rifle, some ammo, a stealth boy, and a note titled As Requested. The note reads, S. Here's that stuff you wanted. If anybody asks where you got it, say it was a gift from your grandma. Happy hunting, E. Now, if you are just starting off the game, this hollowed out rock is actually really helpful. You get a free sniper rifle and stealth boy right at the start. That's pretty damn good. Wasteland Scout Uniform. The Wasteland Scout uniform is an article of clothing worn by various children throughout the Capital Wasteland. These children include CJ Young from Rivet City, Lucy and Knickknack from Little Lamplight, Sammy and Little Lamplighter in Paradise Falls, Rachel in the Republic of Dave, and Kenny in his hideout in the Herzog Mine. Now here's the thing, if you are able to reverse pickpocket this uniform and put it on, it does this. Suicide Watch. Suicide Watch is an unmarked quest in Fallout 3 that can get a little dark and little evil depending on where exactly you go with it. So if you head to Rivet City, you can find a man named Mr. Lopez, who is a suicidal resident that is trying to end his life every single day.
Haven't run into you before. You probably wouldn't remember me anyway. I'm Mr. Lopez. Nobody does. I'm not very memorable. Don't worry, it won't be a problem for much longer.
And if you go to the bridge tower from 8 to 12 or from 3 to 5, you can find him contemplating suicide. And there is a various amount of ways to actually complete this quest. You can help him commit suicide by just straight up pushing him off the deck.
Thank you. A quick shove should do it.
You can use a speech check to convince him that Ted Strayer needs someone to give him guidance and that Lopez is the right one to do it.
You may be right, but I have nothing to live for. Ted Strayer. I suppose I could talk to him. He is kind of a lost boy. Thank you, stranger. Someday, maybe...
You can talk him into doing it by calling him pathetic.
You're right. I've failed everyone, even my family. Someday, maybe I'll...
Or any other various amounts of ways to make him, quote-unquote, accidentally fall to his death.
Whatever.
Assault!
Help!
Assault!
What have you done?
Survival perk. I believe this is talking about the special perk Survival Expert, which you can get from Moria Brown in helping her research her Wasteland Survival Guide. And depending on how many objectives you do for her and how you answer questions, you can get a variety of different bonuses. So you can be a junior survivor, which is just 2% poison and radiation resistance, or upgrade to Survival Expert, which is 4%, or the Survival Guru, which is 6%. And depending on how you answer her questions, you can just get more HP, better medicine and science, better damage resistance, better sneak and speech, or better critical chance. So I think it's pretty interesting that one perk just has a million different ways to actually upgrade it. Marco. Marco is only ever mentioned in Fallout 3 on a holotape called Dead End. Just north of the MDPL-21 power station, you could find a Wastelander with this on him, and it reads, "It's been a week, and I still haven't picked up Marco's trail. Sitting here now, alone, I can be completely honest. With myself and anyone who might read this, I've never felt like such a failure in my life. To let a man enter your home, then watch helplessly as he murders your family in cold blood, is more than any person should have to bear. Now I can't even find the son of a bitch to give him what he has coming. He kills my children in front of my eyes, and he gets to just walk away? No punishment? No justice? How is that fair? I'd kill myself, but I'm sure I'd just screw that up too. I just wish I knew what to do. I just wish God or someone would give me some kind of sign." And as far as I know, you never actually get to meet Marco. He's only ever mentioned in this holotape, so you never get to bring justice to this man's poor murdered family. Tenpenny Tower Radio. The Tenpenny Tower Radio was a radio station that was cut from Fallout 3. The DJ was described as trying to sound like a radio celebrity, and there are still several lines of dialogue for this cut radio station.
Thank you for listening to Tenpenny Tower Radio Service, brought to you by Alistair Tenpenny. This is Tenpenny Tower Radio. You're listening to Tenpenny Tower Radio, the sound of progress. This is Tenpenny Tower Radio, music and inspiring talk for forward-thinking people. The poor man wishes for prosperity. The rich man makes his own. We must turn our thoughts away from that which is imperfect and impure. On that vast plain of dust we will raise new cities, and like the phoenix, spread the wings of new life and take flight. Never wonder for a moment if you're worthy of the benefits you possess. Rather wonder always if you have utilized them to their fullest. All men were created equal. Not all men remain so. The beggar must lay down his cup, for a man needs both hands to grasp the future. Let us release our fears of the past into our hopes for the future. The poor man wonders why he is poor. The rich man knows why he is rich.
McClellan Family Home. The McClellan Family Townhome is an unmarked location in Fallout 3. And it's rather interesting because inside of it you can find a dormant Mr. Handy and also a terminal that is used to control it. And you can command this Mr. Handy to do a bunch of different things. You can deactivate the unit, which will recall the Mr. Handy to its base. You can tell it to walk Muffy, which is the family's dog, in which it will go outside and find the dog's dead body and try to convince it to stand up.
Time for your walk, family pet. Here, doggy, doggy. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Time for your walk, family pet.
You can order it to pick up the groceries, in which it will head to the shops just located north of Georgetown West, where it will sit there idle before returning home.
How may I serve you, mistress?
And probably one of the more creepy ones is reading the children a bedtime poem, in which it will go into the children's room, which has the remains of 2 individuals, and read them this poem.
There will come soft rains and the smell of the ground, and swallows circling with their shimmering sound, and frogs in the pool singing at night, and wild plum trees in tremulous white. Robins will wear their feathery fire, whistling their whims on a low fence wire. And not one will know of the war, not one will care at last when it is done. Not one would mind, neither bird nor tree, if mankind perished utterly. And spring herself, when she woke at dawn, would scarcely know that we were gone.
And lastly, you can set it to home security mode, which sets the unit to patrol mode, searching out and attacking any enemies outside.
This home protected by General Atomics International.
And this whole thing is actually a reference to Ray Bradbury's short story, There Will Come Soft Rains, which is about this exact same premise pretty much. A robotic house in California that still works after the nuclear war, not knowing that its owners had perished in the atomic blast. Nuka Cocktail. This was a cut weapon from Fallout 3 that seemed to be this game's universe of a Molotov cocktail. It would have used the bottle of a Nuka-Cola Quantum and a rope, along with a tin can, turpentine, and a Braxo cleaner. And when thrown, would have created an explosion. But unfortunately, they ended up cutting it. The Roach King's Throne. The Roach King's Throne is yet another unmarked location in the Capital Wasteland, located just northeast of the minefield. It is inhabited by the Roach King and a couple cockroaches. And the Roach King, as described by the Fallout 3 official game guide, goes as such. Key. First, build throne. Then take rocket. Key. Some of my shiny friends help me. What time is it? Scuttle and bustle time. Key. The sun is hot, but the throne is cool. Key akaku. Oh, me insides don't feel right. Sleepy time. Key. So it's pretty safe to say that the Roach King is absolutely insane. And the Roach King is also rather interesting because he doesn't have like a set default face and can really just kind of be anybody. And apparently he may even spawn sometimes with a female body. But the one commonality is he always has the same facial hair. Moriarty's Karma. This is a reference to Colin Moriarty, who is a resident of Megaton and owner of the saloon. And just by talking around town, you kind of get the impression that this guy is not that good of a guy.
I'm sort of stuck here. Colin says that I can't leave until I pay off my debt to him. Of course, he charges me room and board, too.
Hi there. I'm Nova. New to Megaton, huh? Who, Gob? Well, if you can get past how he looks, he's a sweetheart. Colin's awfully hard on him, though. Well, the miserable bastard is hard on all of us, but Gob gets it the worst. I guess just because he's different, you know?
And what makes this even more confusing is by killing him, you actually get negative karma. So either that was an oversight by the developers, or they know something that we don't know. Claw Dog. This is yet another cut weapon from Fallout 3, and it was a unique 32 pistol. And it would have had a slightly increased damage and a slightly higher value. You would have been able to fire it about 555 times from full conditioning until it broke. And this might have been cut pretty early on in development because it seems pretty identical to the regular 32 pistol, and maybe they wanted to save up space and just focus on other weapons instead, so they ended up axing it. Megaton Abandoned House. I believe this is talking about the Megaton Abandoned House dummy cell, because if it was just talking about like the house that you can get in Megaton, I feel like everybody knows that. But this abandoned house is actually a test cell for Fallout 3, a place where they would just go and, exactly what it sounds like, test things out. Now, it is a very watered down and stripped down version of the Megaton home, but it's way creepier. It really feels like something straight out of a horror game. Like this should be in some sort of SCP horror game. It's just so creepy to walk around it. And the game is littered with tons of test cells like this, but this one is just oddly creepy. Gary interrogation log. This is a piece of cut content that was cut from the Operation Anchorage DLC. It gives us a little bit more information about everyone's favorite murderous clone, Gary.
Gary? Listen, son. I know Muriel was rough on you. I'm sorry. I really am.
Gary? Gary?
Right. You can drop the act now. I'm not here to hurt you.
Gary?
Look, just remove the pit boy, and we can part ways.
Gary! Gary!
You know what? Fuck this. Hand me that saw. And turn off the recorder.
New Plague pamphlet. This is yet another piece of cut content, and it was a cut holotape from the Point Lookout DLC. And it reads, The New Plague in You, copyright and distributed by Presidential Fitness Program 2059. Know the signs. Safeguard yourself and your community by knowing how to identify a person suffering from the new plague. Common symptoms include profuse sweating, unexplained contusions/swelling, massive external hemorrhaging, new ideas such as socialism. When you believe you've come into contact with a person exhibiting one or more of these telltale signs, remember to CIR. C. Confirm symptoms. Approach the person suffering from symptoms if no civil or medical professional is available to do so. Verify that the subject is exhibiting symptoms of the new plague. I. Isolate. Once it's been established that a case of the new plague is present, separate yourself and the person exhibiting symptoms from the general population, as the new plague is notoriously contagious. R. Report. Report directly to the nearest Federal Fitness Registry of Medical Center and let the professionals handle it from there. Protect yourself. The new plague is what's commonly known as a social disease. This means that the new plague is especially contagious and can be commonly caught in the course of social interactions, such as ice cream socials, cruising Main Street, promiscuous activity/sodomy, and attending fairs or festivals. So, what's the best protection against social diseases? Why not stay at home and enjoy a novel or a home-cooked meal? Limiting your exposure to other individuals is the best and more surefire way to avoid contracting the new plague. Get registered. Did you know that your government can protect you from the new plague and other biological dangers? It's true. All you need to do is visit your local Federal Fitness Registry. Friendly federal professionals will be on hand to take a few minor samples and enter you into the National Registry. Your compliance with the Federal Registry program not only keeps medical professionals up to date on your medical history and status, but contributes to valuable research programs, and makes you eligible for special prizes, such as fuel rations or vacations to exotic domestic locales. I can't help but feel like this has just been completely parodied by like actual real life stuff. Hidden dialogue. I'm not 100% sure what this is referring to. It's kind of vague, but I'm going to take a guess. As you approach Megaton, you can find a sniper who stands guard above the gate. Now normally, you can never reach this man. There's no actual way to get up there. But say you glitch up there or use console commands to get up here, you can find the sniper named Stockholm. And he actually has some dialogue. You can actually interact with him.
The more time I spend talking to you, the less I'm spending watching for raiders. How the hell did you get up here anyway?
So maybe it's Stockholm Syndrome or something else, but I like this little Easter egg. Reconstructed audio log. Yet another piece of cut content. This was cut from the Operation Anchorage DLC. And these audio logs have script notes that say static and broken audio throughout the entire holotape. This is reconstructed surveillance, overheard office chatter.
Yeah, I can. Don't know who exactly this simulation is supposed to benefit, though.
Jesus, are these guys serious? Why would they bring that kind of hardware with them?
I got word from brass at the Pentagon. We're gonna need to modify the ROE in the Chinese to match this.
We just got more field reports from DOD. Hey, Rick, you busy?
You and me both. General gets any more comfortable here, and there's going to be a lot more all-nighters for everybody. Between us, I think the General's taken a little too much interest in the project. You know how the CEO's office is usually a formality?
Yeah, got to. These bombers Chase requested. We're pushing the system to the brink with all this crap.
Let's see. I can just reallocate some of them. Yeah, that frees up memory for the bombers.
I hear Chase is having them deliver his personal effects. Including an overnight cop.
Yeah, we can talk about how many times he made me rework the way his code looks in his sense.
Sure, but the idea of the Chinese developing something similar isn't out of the question.
Chimera tanks? Come on, man. Even you have to admit these are sheer fantasy.
Look, this is the job. Most of these scenarios will never happen, but if they do, we'll have a plan.
I swear, if Chase comes to us with another ridiculous contingency scenario...
You almost sound like a sympathizer. You really feel sorry for the poor saps?
Yeah, exactly. They're in for a long haul.
You'd think, but they're not like us. Their boys are drafted and left to rot on whatever shit assignment they're handed.
No, it's not that at all. I get that the Chinese occupation in Alaska is strictly military, but don't you think they'd settle in a bit?
So it would seem like the point of these audio logs would be to give you a little bit more of understanding of what exactly was happening before the world was completely ruined. Comrade Chang is watching you. This would be a reference to Irving Chang, who is an inhabitant of Tenpenny Tower, and claims to be a direct descendant of Chairman Chang, who was the leader of the People's Republic of China before the war. And one weird thing about him is he refers to everyone as comrade.
Hello. Good to see you again, comrade. Until next time, comrade.
And if we take a look at his computer terminal, you kind of get an idea why. He talks about his plans for creating a communist society in Tenpenny Tower, which he would call the Tenpenny Commune. And also in his terminal, you can find his daily affirmation, where one of them is, Comrade Chang is watching you. And this whole thing seems to be a reference to George Orwell's book, 1984. Literally 1984. And also, Chang seems to be a piece of shit, because you can overhear him speaking with Susan Lancaster and reveal that his wife absolutely hates him and that Chang is actually having an affair with Susan. So you know what they say, rather be dead than red. USS Ebon Atoll. The USS Ebon Atoll was a ship that was accidentally sunk by the US submarine USS Interface during the Battle of Anchorage. And if we head to the Museum of Technology, you can find a plaque that gives us a little bit more information. This flag was recovered from the wreck of the USS Ebon Atoll, a US Navy missile cruiser, sunk off the coast of Alaska in 2066 with all hands lost. The cutting-edge vessel's loss was due to a nuclear torpedo strike from the US Navy submarine, the USS Interference, during the Anchorage campaign. The submarine mistook the cruiser for an enemy vessel during radio silence and sunk it before obtaining visual confirmation. This ranks as one of the most tragic disasters in US naval history since World War II. The Ophi clan. Not too much is known about the Ophi clan, other than that in the Point Lookout DLC, we can find the marked location, the Ophi clan plot, which seems to be the family's plot of land that they used for burials. And it seems to be like just a stereotypical quote-unquote haunted graveyard. And what's a haunted graveyard without a couple of ghouls? Now the one really creepy thing that might get you thinking a little bit is there is one open coffin with a small skeleton along with a teddy bear, toy cars, and a medical brace, which might hint that there was a child with a severe medical condition that never ended up making it. Left Behind note. The Left Behind holotape can be found on a dead wastelander just east of the Dunwich building. And it reads, "The others left me. They fucking left me. Okay, I can understand them getting angry because I wandered off, but I thought I saw someone trailing us, so I went to check it out. Turns out, I was wrong, but I was only gone for like 10 minutes. They didn't have to leave me behind. I have no idea where they went, but I guess I better get off my ass and try to catch up. And it seems like he didn't make it that far because you do find it on his dead body. And I just love little holotapes like this because it adds more story and character to the wasteland. Bittercup Romance. There is an unmarked quest titled Bittercup Runneth Over that has you romancing Bittercup from Big Town. And it's actually pretty easy. All you have to do is select the correct dialogue options and you can get your free death-obsessed girlfriend. It's that easy.
What if the capital congressman could live again? What if they could compete?
Don't you judge me. It's not my fault that the only guys in this town are liars and jerks. Oh, you can't break up with me. We're all going to die soon. Well, duh. Why do you think I'm breaking up with you? When I die, the last thing I want to worry about in my afterlife is breaking up with my once-alive boyfriend. Priorities.
We've got a part now, you and I. But don't be sad.
Oh yeah? What is it?
The Enclave is
Not that I care what you think.
rebuild this great nation. So you don't have to. Until we meet again, this is your president, John Henry Eaton, signing off.
Really? I mean, good. No one wants to look like the boring slobs in this town anyway. Besides, if we're all going to die here, I at least want my corpse to look better than these inane wastelanders. You're not, seeing anyone right now, are you? Oh, well, I need to get going. But come back and visit me sometime, okay?
And what's cool about it is every 24 hours, you can come back to Big Town and she will give you a random gift. Now, you can only do this 30 times before the quest kind of just ends and reverts back to its pre-quest dialogue. But it's still pretty cool. For like 30 days, you have your very own psycho girlfriend. Nice. Patrick's Farewell. This is yet another holotape found in Fallout 3 that just makes the world ever more grimmer. Patrick was a former member of the US Armed Forces and left this holotape. Hey there, Tabby Cat. I know this wasn't fair to you. I'm sorry. Everything you've done for me since Anchorage, you were the best chance I had at making a normal life again. But I just don't think it's possible for me. You deserve a life of your own. Tell Mikey the bike is his when he gets his license next summer. She'll need a new toroidal coil soon. I'm also leaving the Kami pistol. Please take it to Dad. He'll want that. Everything else I leave to you. I know it isn't much. I love you, Cat. Please forgive me one more time. Patrick. And what's interesting is you can find this in a metal box between Vault 106 and the VAPL 58 power station near a motorcycle on the edge of a very scenic overlook, which heavily implies that Patrick ended up taking his own life. Pennsylvania Ave explosives. So you can find a paper note that gives you a hint that you can make a really big boom here soon. It was carried by Thomas, who was a former Talon Company merc. The explosives have been placed along Pennsylvania Ave as instructed. The electrical switch is located on the first level of the scaffolding on PA Avenue. Simply flip the switch, take cover, and get ready for one hell of a show. I'm going to stick around a little longer to see if I can pick off a couple more mutants. Merc Thomas, Talon Company. And of course, what kind of Fallout game would this be if you could not activate those explosions? John's Key. John happens to be another dead dude in the Capital Wasteland. I know, right? Just keep adding to the pile. But he is actually a part of a random encounter, where he will be attacked by 3 dogs and killed. And sometimes you don't even get to see that, and as soon as you encounter him, he's already dead. But he does hold John's key and the Wastelander note. The note reads, "Billy, I'm sorry I stole it. You deserve to have it back. Remember the old scrapyard north of the Bethesda ruins? Look in the burned out bust in the northwest corner, near the old red boxcar. Tell Irene I still love her. I'm sorry for everything. I hope somebody finds this before the buzzards tear it to pieces. Your loving brother, John. And heading to the location with the key, you can find an ammunition box with 3 skill books located in it. So it's not too bad of a find. It's actually pretty helpful. The Sorrowful Suitor. This is another unmarked quest in Fallout 3 that is very similar to a previous entry we have talked about. Heading into the Presidential Metro, you can find a holodisc called Sorry My Darling.
If someone finds this, please give this to my lover at La Maison Beauregard Hotel in East Georgetown. He'll want to hear what I have to say. My darling, they found me. I tried to get away. So we could be together once again. I know you risked your life to get it to me. Combing the ruins, avoiding the super mutants. All for me. It seems I shall never lay my eyes upon your gift. You'll have to keep it and remember me every time you see it. I'm so sorry, my darling. So sorry I've let you down. So many have died for this thing. So many hearts have been broken. Please remember, I'll always love you. You will be with me forever in my spirit. I love you.
And in it, this woman is apologizing to her darling for not being able to meet up, even though he had got her a special gift. And if we actually head to the meetup location, one is confronted by a hostile character called Lagbolt, who happens to carry a key to the suitcase which has the special gift in it. And dealing with Lagbolt, you can get the key and open up the suitcase, and you'll find the all-nighter nightwear. What is up with these special gifts all being naughty nightwear or something of the sorts? Now, if you remember the previous entry, we ran into a man named Lugnut, Lagbolt, Lugnut, and in that one we had to find the naughty nightwear. And those two are actually brothers because on his body you can find this note. Hey Lags, this is your big bro. Hope you got the package. I had 2 of these things specifically made for us in Virginia by the tailor. He's a master at this stuff. I know you and your chick will love it. Try not to wear her out too fast, if you catch my drift. Hugs, Lugnut. And what's cool about this is you don't only get the all-nighty nightwear, you also get Lagbolt's combat armor and his shades, so, you know, that's a plus. High Water Trousers. High Water Trousers is the call sign of an orbital nuclear weapon, but after the war, it was discovered by a ghoul scientist at the SATCOM array Northwest 05A, while she was attempting to gain control of the pre-war military satellite. And from the control terminal, you can input the activation code and you can launch a couple more nukes because why not? It's already all gone to shit, might as well add a couple more. Number Station. This is an old-school Fallout 3 creepypasta that consists of a strange radio station that supposedly predicts some events in the future, and not just like the video game future, like actual real life. The creepypasta goes as so. Fallout 3 contains several in-game radio stations. The most diverse and important station is Galaxy News Radio. Many players of the evil persuasion know that you can kill Three Dog and he will be replaced by a technician, Margaret. She is not a charismatic personality and has very little to say, seeming to not enjoy her new announcement duties. She also never appears in person, and therefore cannot be killed. Once Three Dog is dead, you're stuck with Margaret. What most players do not know is that under certain circumstances, GNR will become a number station. A number station is a station that broadcasts an unusual coded message. Many of these exist in real life, and some hypothesize that they are a nuclear retaliation control network. Simply check Wikipedia for more information about these odd broadcasts as they are related to the real world. Back to Fallout 3. No one is sure which actions are needed to hear the number station in Fallout 3. It appears that you must kill Three Dog, because no one has reported hearing the number station with him still alive. It also appears that you have to skip over the quest Galaxy News Radio, where you help boost the signal so that the station can broadcast further than just the immediate DC area. This is easy enough to do with either a speech check or simply using the Fallout Wiki to look up where to go next and advance the main plot. Finally, you definitely have to choose Destroy Raven Rock. This is the actual trigger to turn GNR into a number station, and it will remain such for the rest of the game. However, the vast majority of players who perform these 3 actions still continue hearing the standard GNR broadcast, so there must be several more requirements the community has yet to isolate. If you're lucky enough to hit upon the right set of circumstances, just after destroying Raven Rock, you will get a message, radio signal lost, and a few seconds later, radio signal found. You cannot, however, actually listen to GNR just yet because you didn't boost the signal and are out of range of the broadcast at the exit of Raven Rock. Luckily, Raven Rock is situated in the mountains and is right near one of the few places outside of DC that you can get high enough to catch the signal. So far, the confirmed locations to hear the GNR number signal are within the immediate DC area, obviously. This is true for the regular GNR throughout the game. At the top of the Ferris wheel at the backwater Redneck Island, I can't remember its name just now. On the top of some SATCOM arrays you can climb in the northwestern map area. On the top of Tenpenny Tower, though this may be within the normal broadcast range anyway, feel free to playtest and get back to me on this. On the highest point of Broken Bridge around Erifu, again, maybe within broadcast range anyway. On some of the highest points of mountaintops in the area near Raven Rock, this is obviously your easiest chance to first listen to the number station. When you tune in, you will hear an old familiar voice, Three Dog, despite the fact that you killed him earlier. However, you will quickly notice that this does not seem to be in character. So I guess it's not technically Three Dog, but just the voice actor Eric Dunlams. He reads a series of numbers in a monotone, depressed sounding voice. He always recites a list of single digits between 9 and 12 characters long. For example, 937-917-2034. He never uses a multi-digit number like 11 or 40. These numbers are followed by wildly varying lengths of Morse code. This is then followed by a song, I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire. All other music tracks seem to be inactive on the number station. The Morse code was the easiest part of the mystery to crack, as the code is widely available and many people actually know it by heart. We quickly had a list of a great number of messages in English. Some sounded completely mundane and even comical, such as wash the car today, maybe Chinese for dinner, or have you watched my YouTube video yet? I uploaded myself kicking bums in the nuts. You may be saying, but wait, YouTube didn't exist in the Fallout universe. And you're right, as far as we could tell, all of the messages sounded like they were based in our reality somewhere near present day. Some of the messages, however, are quite sinister, such as the Queen has died today. The world mourns, as on days like these, we are all Brits. Or, I can't believe they've actually done it. Not long left. The noise. I can't take the noise anymore. I have a pistol in the attic. Just recently, a player on the wiki forums noticed a message that brought to light the meaning of the messages. He was reading a thread that collected all known messages, transpotted from Morse code English. He saw a line 120-55-282-010. What you talking about? You'll be missed. He realized this referred to the recent death of Gary Coleman, and then quickly realized the numbers were the time and date of death. He immediately scanned through the messages to try and find more examples of this apparently future telling by a game that's more than a year old. The next message he read shocked him and pushed him to enlist the aid of others to decipher the codes. The message was 9454-202010. Accident in the Gulf, several dead. Oil spill apparently averted. He realized this was the BP explosion and the erroneous day one assessment that the well was not leaking. From this point on, all numbers would be transcribed as times and dates. All times were given in-game in military format and remain so in this document. Numerous members of the Fallout Wiki message board began looking over the messages to see what else they could learn. We quickly found that most of the dates were after the game had been released, yet oddly some of them were from the past. 2215, April 15th, 1865. He's dead, and blame will probably be placed on the actor, Booth. Johnson better not cheat me out of my payment. This shed new doubt on the official version of the Lincoln assassination. As the community quickly started piling up interpretations of the messages, mods of the site summarily banned everyone who had posted in or even read the thread. All references to the number station was removed from the Fallout Wiki, and filtering software was put in place to prevent reposting of any relevant information. A few people, however, are trading emails and slowly finishing the translation of the remaining messages and putting dates to the existing ones. The Queen has died today, the world mourns, as on days like these, we are all Brits. 4:02 March 19th, 2014. Have you watched my YouTube video yet? I uploaded myself kicking bums in the nuts, 24/16, December 24th, 2012. I can't believe Britney's actually won an Oscar. 23:33, February 27th, 2023. I can't believe they've actually done it. Not long left. They were warned, but they just had to keep pushing the boundaries of science. The noise. I can't take the noise anymore. And the light. Dear God, the universe is slowly unraveling around us. I'm not going to wait for death. I have a pistol in the attic. This is actually the only message not preceded by a string of numbers. It may be worth noting that the latest date on any of the messages is 1/27, July 6th, 2027. Now, of course, this is obviously just a creepypasta, but it still does hold like a pretty significant part of the Fallout history, because back in the days of Fallout 3, you could go to school and you would hear people talking about this supposed number station. And again, you gotta remember, this was like before the internet was as big and as popular as it was nowadays, so it mainly would spread by word of mouth. Tom McMullen. Tom McMullen was the supervisor of the Pit supply plant before the Great War, and management had plans to replace all of the workers with Protectrons, and despite Tom's best efforts to kind of slow this down, management ended up catching on to what he was doing and ordered the plant to be vacated by all human personnel. Unfortunately, all the workers working there believed Tom was actually a part and helping management replace all of the humans. And to try to save their own jobs and vent their frustration, they tried to take it out on Tom. But Tom had suspected this and he tried to escape. He ended up managing to flee to a small room and lock himself in, hoping to wait out the workers. But they did not leave. He tried in vain to beg them to leave before the new Protectron workforce arrived, but no one would take him seriously, and when the robots arrived at the plant, they ended up killing all of the workers. And with Tom not wanting to leave until the robots were gone, this ended up being his final resting place. And the interesting part about this is after you are done reading it, a lone Protectron will spawn just outside the door, but it's not hostile. The Puppet Man. I'm not sure why this is so low on the list. I feel like everybody knows about the Puppet Man, but here we go. Shortly before the bombs fell on October 23rd, 2077, an average-looking man would approach Vault 77. Taking his place inside of the vault, he would call out to others with no response. And after some time, the reality would slowly set in that he is the only one here. After what seemed like an eternity of isolation, he ended up opening a crate labeled P13X US government-issued puppet ration, where he discovered a bunch of hand puppets, an old woman, a royal king, and a loyal dog. And over the next couple months, he would slowly lose himself into these puppets, until one day he would find the Vault Boy puppet, and everything would change. He would discover the king's body murdered in a very grisly fashion. And after confronting the Vault Boy puppet, who not only confessed to the murder, but also accused him of being complicit, and fearing what the other puppets might do, he ended up making his escape. And eventually, in the waste, he would get captured by two slavers, and after warning them not to mess with the Vault Boy puppet as it was crazy and has killed before, and these slavers not taking this threat seriously, one of them named Bob ended up dying to the Puppet Man, escaping to the rest of the slavers to warn them about what had just happened, but very quickly learned that the Puppet Man had followed them and ended up murdering every single one. And now the legend of the Puppet Man is only heard in whispers here and there, but everybody knows that the sight of a Vault 77 jumpsuit is something to fear.
Like I told you, man, I don't fucking know where it came from, but it freaks the boys out. Some story from a while back about a stranger with no name. Just get rid of the damn thing. Ain't no good gonna come from keeping it around. Besides, if it is his, maybe he'll come back for it. Comprende?
Mutant Circus Bear. This is talking about the unique ghoulified Yaoguai named Ruska, who is living in the far northwest point in Point Lookout. Ruska the Wonder Bear was a former star attraction of Point Lookout. She was known for her ball dancing abilities, but after the Great War, Ruska was ghoulified and turned into a Yaoguai, and would continue living in the northwestern corner of Point Lookout. And for years, she would continue amusing herself with the big red ball dating back to her circus days and preying on anyone that happened to get too close. Gold Ribbon Grocers. This is one of the more interesting places that you can discover, and the reason for that is because it's just all one big Rube Goldberg trap. Walking in and stepping on this pressure plate just starts this whole line of events that leads to this. Giant teddy bear. There are a couple giant teddy bears that you can find across the wasteland. One of them can be found in the Red Racer Factory and can be found hanging on a tricycle. Another one can also be found at a SATCOM array, the NN03D. Now do be careful when trying to collect these giant teddy bears, because if you already have a teddy bear in your inventory, when you pick up the big one, it will automatically be lumped together with the smaller one and revert to that size. So if you do want to pick up one of these large teddy bears for your home, make sure you don't have any in your inventory so it will stay as a large teddy bear. Flying Bananas Can't Talk. Flying Bananas Can't Talk is a paper note that you can find in the Germantown Police HQ in a cell beside Red, underneath the ruined bed frame. And it reads, Flying Bananas Can't Talk, Flying Bananas Can't Talk, Flying Bananas Can't Talk. I think you can kind of see where this is going, only to end off with, they just want you to believe they can. This doesn't mean literally anything, but I still find it funny and just adds more craziness to the waste. That will be the end of this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. If I happen to get anything wrong, please let me know down there below in the comments. And also, if you did learn something new, what was it and what was your favorite new fact that you learned? Let me know. So, that's gonna be everything. Leave.